I am Nick Hodge, investor and co-owner of Resource Stock Digest and Digest Publishing, and this is the 272nd episode of Investing in Bizarro World. I find myself once again without my co-owner, co-host, and a partner, Gerardo Del Real, who is enjoying his second trip to Costa Rica of the year. And the reason we can take multiple trips to Central American beaches per year is partly because of the private placements that we do. And that's where I wanted to spend the time of this episode. I want to talk about, again, private placements, which we spent some time on last week. And I was wondering the best way to go about doing that. And in those journeys, I'm going to share my screen here. I decided to talk about an overnight success, as we do in this industry. We talk about, 15, 20-year overnight successes. And so let me pull up a chart here. I thought I was ready to go. Share the screen. Here it is. Beauty. So this is an overnight success chart of Bravo Mining. It's a 3-month chart. It's up 118% over those past 3 months on some high volume, as you can see here, that occurred just in the past week. And looking at this chart, you'd think, man, these shares are up 118% in the past 3 months. They've gone from, sort of a consolidation level of $1.50 to $3.50 there. What the heck's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on, and then I'm going to sort of backfill the story. So this is a company called Bravo Mining. It's a recommendation that I've made in Hodge Family Office, which is a weekly speculative letter. Gerardo also covers this company in Junior Resource Monthly, I believe it is. And the reason that it's up so precipitously over the past couple of weeks and months is word of a new discovery that they've made at their project, which is in Brazil, Pará State, called Luanga. The project is called Luanga. It is a PGM project that came from Vale. So I'm just giving you the history here. It has a resource in the ground, a PGM resource. It's got a gold kicker, and it's got a sniff of nickel. It was in Vale's portfolio for a while. Going back here a couple of years, Vale had some in-country troubles in Brazil. It had some tailings dam issues, some other, behind-the-scenes Brazilian issues. And as a result, it was looking to divest some of what it considered its non-core assets. Luanga was one of those non-core assets. Despite having a robust PGM resource, it was only drilled down to about 150 meters and sat sort of unloved in Vale's portfolio. And that's when Luis Azevedo, who is the executive chairman of Bravo, was able to secure it and then put it in a company and bring it to market. So what do I want to talk about from there? Well, I guess I want to talk about the overnight success aspect of it, because this is a company we've been involved in for a long time. And so not a long time, a couple of years. And so, there's the dinosaur, which is the beginning of the chart. If you pull the chart back here, this is something that came to trade in 2022. It went up as high as $5 in 2023, pulled back along with the rest of the commodity space in late 2023 and early 2024, and then, makes this discovery here in early 2024, and it catapults itself upward. What do I want to talk about? All of this back here, when Bravo is $4 and $5, is based on its PGM deposit that it continues to drill out. It's done a couple of 10,000 meters of drilling. Mineralization continues to get better at depth. Increasing grades, also increasing grades of nickel, which it had some nickel sulfide credits already. And so, that's what the market was excited about here. The market then lost excitement in 2023, as I said, as it lost excitement with the rest of the commodity complex. But what changed the game here was this announcement that came out on May 28th. Bravo intersects high-grade IOCG style massive sulfide copper-gold mineralization and drill testing of Luanga EM targets. And just to call it out there, it was 11.48 meters of 14.3% copper, 3.3 grams a ton gold, and inside of that was 2.9 meters at 22.9% copper and 3.6 grams a ton gold. So this was already a world-class deposit. They flew heliborne magnetics, geophysics last year over the whole project to sort of identify, they were looking for feeder zones, what was feeding the known PGM deposit. And as a result, they identified some anomalies that they are now drilling, and that's what these results come from. It's important to note that these results are over 1 kilometer away from the mineralization that they were previously drilling, the known PGM Luanga deposit. So this is something new. It's IOCG, that's iron-oxide-copper-gold ore-style mineralization, which is responsible for some of the biggest mines in the world, polymetallic, like Olympic Dam. It's still a relatively little understood type of mineralization, can include different types of rocks, can include different types of mineralization and different metals. And I am not a geologist, but I am a bullshit detector and know what to look for after 15 years of doing this and talking to people and reading what geologists have written in the past couple of days about this discovery, just listening to Luis Acevedo and Simon Matram talk, who's the president. They're pretty damn excited about this, and it's likely going to change the trajectory, the course of Bravo Mining's fate for the better. Okay, so what's my point here? Well, you see where this stock is trading here at 350. It's only been trading since, summer of 22 here, and the cheapest you could have ever bought shares was, call it $1.47 in the open market. Well, we have shares at 64 cents Canadian that we bought back here when the company was still private. And we were able to do that because we finance deals. We do private placements. And this is one of the private placements that we did, the Bravo Mining. It wasn't even called Bravo Mining then. It was called BPM Metals or BPG Metals or something like that. And it subsequently listed in Toronto and began, drilling the project that it had in its portfolio, Luanga, which I already described how that happened, coming from Vale. So how were we able to get into this deal? So this is, a little inside baseball, what I want to talk about. This is the chairman, Luis Acevedo. I'm just scrolling through the board of directors here. You have Tony Pugliese. And then down here you have Mr. Stephen Quinn. Stephen Quinn is how we came into the deal. How do we know Stephen Quinn? We know Stephen Quinn because he's the previous CEO and director of Midas Gold Corp. Midas Gold Corp is a company we started investing in, back in 2013, 2014. They have the Stibnite project in Idaho that, Gerardo and I have written a lot about. We've visited, we've, made recommendations on, and as a result, Stephen Quinn is part of our network. That's a company that Midas, that we were invested in for a long time. It's not even called Midas anymore. Stephen Quinn's not even the CEO anymore, but he remains part of our network. Midas is now called Perpetua. That company is advancing permitting on that Stibnite project. I'm a shareholder. Gerardo continues to recommend it. But this is how deals come to be. So, Stephen Quinn is now involved with Bravo. So a couple of years ago when the deal is getting put together, we get the call through or via Stephen that says, this new deal is getting put together. We're raising money. Would you all like to participate? And then we participated, and we put it out to members of private placement intel over 2 years ago, right? I financed it while I was still private. And so I guess what I'm trying to reveal here is the different levels of what we do. So, and how we get access to these deals and why history matters and why network matters, et cetera. So, we finance this company privately all the way back here. It comes to list, we may make a recommendation, it drills, it explores, we're covering the stock. And then ultimately, it goes to make this new discovery that could be game-changing and is obviously a completely new discovery that's sending shares back up over 350. At that level, our 64-cent shares are worth over 5 times their money. And this is not small amounts of capital we're talking about here. I think I started with 50 grand in the deal, for example. So whatever that times 5.5 is what it's worth now. So, and we stay with these companies over time. So we also invite other people to participate in these deals with us. I think now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I just want to talk to you for a second. So you see, I keep a chart of Bravo. I have different technical levels that I'm watching. It has a gap in the chart. I write about it in my, weekly letters. It's been a recommendation. But before all that, I'm a shareholder of Bravo because I financed it privately. And so I wanted to show you how those, deals come to be, how I have them in the back of my mind, how I know what's going on with them. Same with Gerardo, how we monitor their progress. And then, how things come up, like new IOCG discoveries that can change the game and, alter your bottom line very quickly when, shares double in a month on the back of that new discovery. We invite you to participate in private deals like that with us if you are an accredited investor, if you want to participate in deals like that. If you can write checks like $10,000 to $20,000 a piece 2 to 3 times a year, we'd like to show you more about investing in private placements and how you can get involved in that aspect of what we do. And so to that end, as I said in last week's podcast, we're having an event on June 5th that you can participate in to learn more about private placements. You need to call to sign up for that event. Let me get the phone number so you can do that. It's 844-992-3004. If you call that number, you'll talk to Jimmy Mangle, who is our Director of Customer Experience, and he can get you registered to sign up for that June 5th event. Again, this is for accredited investors. That means you make more than $200,000 in income per year by yourself, or $300,000 with a spouse, or you have an income of, a net worth of $1 million or more. And this is what we do. So we write checks and we follow those deals and we watch them mature. And then we invest in other deals. Bravo was one of those deals, financed it when it was private at 64 cents Canadian, 50 cents US, since been as high as $5. He's currently trading at 350, has doubled in the past month on the back of a new and exciting IOCG discovery. And we'll have a new deal open next week that Gerardo and I will both be personally writing checks into. We'll cover that deal during the webinar on June 5th, but we'll also talk about private placements in general, how they work, our track record with them, the spaces or the sectors in which the companies operate that we're doing these private placements in, the size of the checks that we're writing, how to think about the size of the checks that you should write. And then, of course, this time is for you. So any questions that you want to have answered, we'll spend some time doing that. That's why we're asking that you call to register. It's going to be intimate. There's not going to be any riffraff. You can't just click a link to sign up. So 844-992-3004 is the number to call to register for this private placement webinar that we're having on June 5th. And we want to answer those questions. Gerardo is taking down a sizable portion of the financing that we'll be talking about. I'm writing a check into it. Gerardo has a group of people who will also be participating in it. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I have also a friend who will be participating in it, who is a small business owner and only knows about the world of private placements because I told him about it. right? I mean, otherwise he's, operating his business, doing what he does. Is not necessarily, looking to write checks into PGM opportunities in Brazil, but has the capital to do so, and is certainly glad he did, now that his capital, in the case of Bravo, is worth more than 5 times the amount it was when he first invested. But he wouldn't have known about that deal in particular, or private placements in general, if it weren't for me telling him. So if you're seeing this, if you follow what me and Gerardo do or are doing or have done over the past 10 or 15 years, and you want to know more, or if you're curious about private placements, or if you're just a high net worth individual or business owner and you want to ask questions about someone who has done private placements, then that's why we're putting this webinar on. It's free to attend. The only cost is the phone call you'll make to 844-992-3004 to talk to Jimmy to get registered. And we'd like to have you there. We'd like to answer your questions. We'd like you to participate in this deal that we're writing checks into. It's a copper deal. We think it's going to be a good return. We think all the deals that we do are going to be a good return, obviously, or we wouldn't do them. Reality, of course, works out different. We'll go over what the returns look like over time. During the webinar on June 5th, I've got the full track record, wins and losses, the biggest wins. We'll go over some of those, some losses, red flags to look out for. I really just want to help you understand how private placements fit into what we do, and then how subsequently, we write about these companies in other letters, and that's probably a good place to wrap up. So not only do Gerardo and I co-own Digest Publishing, we also co-own a Resource Stock Digest, and there's 40 some companies on there that are paying to be a sponsor of that company. And so we see all of their news, we know all of their executives and IR people, and so deals filter from there, and vice versa. In the case of Bravo, going back to what I'm talking about here, once it listed, we write about Bravo in other publications. Recommend buying shares in the open market, for example, again, in Junior Resource Monthly or Hodge Family Office. But the reason Bravo was in our fold, in our nexus to begin with, was because we did a private placement in the company at a low valuation while it was still private. And the reason we did that was because of our network that we've built over the course of 10 plus years in the speculative finance or junior resource world. And that's what you're buying into when you buy into us, essentially, when you subscribe to our services. That's what we're bringing to the table, is this deep network of time that has taken time to create, and also following us through how we're managing our own money. Both Gerardo and I were shareholders of Bravo because we participated in a private placement, and in that respect, we have skin in the game. And the other publications that we have, and including the free publications, are chronicling how we're viewing these investments and the reasons that we do what we do in the actual market. Why we make the buy calls we make, why we make the sell calls we make. Those are individually, what's the word? Not assigned, but those are based on the parameters of the publication. In the case of Junior Resource Monthly, it's a buy and hold letter. Gerardo had members of that publication buy and hold Bravo because he thought it was a quality, speculation to own long term, and that's proven out to be correct. If you want in before those companies make it to the pages of other publications, or you want to be able to get warrants, or if you even want to know what warrants are or why they can be so lucrative, that's why we're having the private placement, the webinar on June 5th. And that's a pretty good place to wrap it up. So I know a couple of you have signed up already. I see the list to attend the webinar is growing, and thank you for that, and thank you for your interest. You should have got a little report that I put together for you to read before the webinar happens on June 5th. And if you haven't signed up for the webinar yet, by all means, call 844-992-3004. talk to Jimmy, get yourself signed up. He'll give you the free report I wrote about private placements so you can get yourself up to speed before the webinar starts. Again, on June 5th, and come prepared with your questions. We're happy to answer them. We'll take as long as it needs. This is the world we live in. And so we're happy to talk about it and share it with you. And we hope you're interested in, learning more about private placements if you're an accredited investor. So back to the regularly scheduled program next week. Gerardo should be back in the saddle, and you'll have your co-host. We'll get back to talking about individual sectors of the market and things we're watching, interest rates and macro and pontifications, etc. But for now, for me, the focus is on private placements and this webinar we're having on June 5th. And so thanks for indulging me in this 272nd episode of Investing in Bizarro World. I am Nick Hodge on behalf of my co-host and partner, Gerardo Del Real. Thanks for watching, and we hope you tune in next week and check out that webinar on June 5th.
Hey there, you independent-minded investor. If you like this video, make sure to tell us so by clicking the like button below. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss another one. And share it with everyone you know on social media. You can also click the link in the description below to check out more information-packed videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.